everyone. Hi, everyone. Welcome once again to A.O.S. Abroad. Thank you very, very much for joining today. Really appreciate everyone for joining. And if you're actually having a nice time, let me know. Um, welcome, everyone. We are live right now on TikTok. We're on Instagram. We're on YouTube as well. So if you are first joining us, welcome once again for joining. We are on these three platforms today, and we want to talk about a very important and interesting topic today. And today we are going to not just only be interacting, but we would also be asking you some questions. So if you are online and you would like to participate, you can always join us on the live session. Today is going to be a very interesting one, and we are going to be talking about two major, or let me say three major information that we actually got, and these are information that could actually prove very useful for those who want to actually come to Canada, for those who are looking to become permanent residents of Canada, for those that want to have the opportunity to also be here legally, do you understand, and have the opportunity to actually not just come into Canada, not just be in Canada, but to stay in Canada permanently. So, without wasting much time, we are going to go straight up into the conversation for today. But for those that are on YouTube, I'm going to also be presenting my slides, or perhaps I'll be presenting the website, the Canadian immigration website, so that you can see for yourself what immigration is saying, what IRCC is saying about the topics that we are going to be talking about today. So, as many of you may guess already, based on the title of this, we said Canada launches two new pilot programs. Two, not just even one, two new pilot programs. And what are these pilot programs? We have the number one, the Rural Community Immigration Pilot, and we also have the Francophone Community Immigration Pilot. Now, some people may wonder that what are these programs about? What do they need us to know about these programs, and how can you qualify for these programs? That's basically the reason why we're having this conversation today. We want to discuss with you what you can actually expect, you understand, based on what IRCC themselves stated on their news release. You understand? They have released this since January 30th. I meant to have had this conversation before, but I've been waiting on IRCC to kind of get full details. But about 2 weeks down the line, we haven't gotten full details about the pilot programs. But again, we have some information that we can actually share now to explain the pilot programs. So I would like to go one step at a time to explain it. For those that are joining, as I said, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube. But for those that are joining on YouTube or can join on YouTube, you are going to be seeing the slides that I'm sharing with you. You understand, just right now. So let's move on. Or before I move on, let me drink my tea. We're still early in the morning, so I'm having this very early in the morning. All right. So before I move on again, someone is asking, greetings. Oh, this is Greetings. When is the auction starting for your sale? Oh, very good question. Very good question. When is the auction starting for my sale? I believe you're going to be talking about the Funding Your Move Abroad, which is our book that we have actually written since last year, which is currently selling. And for those that have actually been following us on all our social media platforms, yes, we said we are going to be having auction on Whatnot. Whatnot is a social media platform. You understand, and it's basically for social live shopping. So if you want to actually be shopping online, we are going to actually start up to auction books on that platform. So if you have not heard about it, Whatnot, download the app if you have not downloaded the app. It is a very wonderful app that works very well in Canada, and also it's also going to places like the US, the UK, Germany, and other places. So download Whatnot. We are going to be auctioning our book there. We are going to be selling basically our books for a token of the amount. But for those that cannot be on Whatnot or Whatnot, or are not yet ready to actually join us on Whatnot, we also have a what they call it now. Um, we have a 50% discount for those who actually get the audiobook the audiobook on whether audiobooks.com, audiobook.com, any of those platforms, Amazon.com, you understand, we have a 50% discount that we are giving people. Do you understand? Whether you are coming from TikTok, from Instagram, from YouTube, anywhere you have. So maybe I'll share the link. I'll share the link on this platform so that you'll be able to actually visit the link yourself and you understand learn more. So thank you very much. That is who was even asking about that. That was Mr. Ido. Oh, is it ID quit? No, ID quit MD. I don't know. So let's move on. Let's move on. Today we want to talk about the two pilot programs. Do you understand? That's what we are talking about today. And from the district of Ottawa, or from the city of Ottawa, for those that know Canada, you know that Canada, Ottawa is where the how do I call it now? Those that are the rulers of this country. That is where they always, you understand, decide, or where they always um, educate us, and you understand, kind of meet up to talk about what is happening in Canada and how they can actually assist us. You understand, those that are immigrants. So let's move on. As they stated, and we are going to be talking about, they said one, oh, okay. Um, they said January 30, 2025, that was when they released this newsletter or news release, and said rural and francophone minority communities, they make vital contributions. Do you understand? Okay, I see someone wants to actually join us on the live. Afadek, that's Afolabi Kudus. I hope you're able to join. I've clicked on you on Instagram. I hope you're able to join us. Now, it said rural and francophone minority communities make vital contributions to Canada's economy and culture, but they frequently face unique labor market and demographic challenges as the majority of Canadians and newcomers settle in Canada's urban centers. Now, please note what they stated on the newsletter. They said the rural areas, they are facing what? They are facing labor market and demographic issues. Labor market issues as a result, maybe they are not being they are not getting foreign workers to work in their industries, to work in their companies, in their businesses. They are facing demographic factors or challenges. Demographic challenges as a lot of people are not in those rural areas. A lot of people are not developing those rural areas. So you can get a glimpse of what they are wanting to do, you understand, for these rural and francophone minority communities. Do you understand? Now, I said in particular, the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot, RNIP, was successful in connecting what? In connecting businesses and employers in remote communities with the skilled newcomers. They need to thrive. They need to thrive. Now, note that again, there's another information that they want us to know, that the RNIP, Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot Program, for those who know the RNIP, you know this is a program that was successful. This is a program that Canada actually started, and now they are going into the next stage of letting that program actually be retained as, you understand, a fully fledged program, even though we are still looking at what would happen, you understand, for that. But note, since they are kind of talking about RNIP in relation to the new two pilot programs that they are introducing, that is to give us a cue that, oh, maybe IRCC wants to bring these new community pilot programs to actually copy the success or the successes they have actually, you understand, gathered from the RNIP. Do you understand what I'm saying? So what we are trying to say in essence is, if you are looking towards the new two pilot programs, your best bet to see what they are going to be doing is to look into the RNIP we have had before. Do you understand? Is to look through. Now, let's look at the RNIP. Or even before we look at it, we'll still look at it later. But before we look at it, let's finish up the newsletter, the news release. Once we finish up the news release, thank you. I see some people liking my live session on TikTok. Thank you. Once we finish the new release, then we'll now come back to talk about the RNIP and see some trends we'll see some information, some requirements, some eligibility criteria that we can see and kind of predict that, oh, if they did this for RNIP, then most likely we should be expecting something similar like this in the two pilot programs based on their reference to the RNIP. And because RNIP also links to the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot Program, and that this is a program that was also for those that are in the rural areas and those that are in the minority communities. So please note, you understand. You don't need, and just note that. Now, let's move on to what we have for today. Now, let's move on. Based on what IRCC is saying that is why the government of Canada is introducing 2 new pilots. You may be wondering what is why, what is the reason. They told us before that in particular the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot, RNIP, was successful in connecting businesses and employers in remote communities with the skilled newcomers they need to thrive, right? So they said that is why the government of Canada is introducing 2 new pilots as committed to in March 2024. So what are they telling us? They are telling us that they have said it before that they are going to be introducing 2 pilots. They are going to be introducing it. You understand? They said it in March 2024. That was like roughly a year ago. Do you understand? But they didn't talk much on it. They didn't discuss much on it. They didn't give us the full details of what they would do. Do you understand? That time. Now they are telling us that they committed it to it then, and now they are willing to actually launch it. And why are they willing to launch it? In order to help rural and francophone minority communities attract and retain newcomers with the right skills to help their regions succeed as we work to establish the RNIP as a permanent program. Now, this is where it becomes interesting. Now, if you look at this, they are telling us that they don't just want to attract people to rural and francophone minority communities, but they want to retain them there. Now, note that they want to retain them. They want them to. It's not that like a PMP, as people will come into maybe like Saskatchewan, and after 2 years or 3 years, they say, okay, no, they want to leave Saskatchewan and go to Ontario. It's not like that. The pilot programs they want now, they want to attract people to those rural areas, and they want people to stay in those rural areas. So many of the things that they are going to be doing in these 2 pilot programs is going to be things that would make sure that people stay back in those communities that actually invited them to come to Canada and to stay here permanently. So my best guess is even if they give people permanent residency at once, they still want you to stay back in that community even after your permanent residency. So what they will be doing more or less is going to be something that will restrict you to that particular community or program, or what they call it, minority location that you have been, or you were given invitation. Now let's move on. They said that today the Honorable Mark Miller, Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, announced the launch of the Rural Community Immigration Pilot and the Francophone Community Immigration Pilot, and the communities chosen to participate. So what did we have? Thank you, Don. I see OP also liking the live session on TikTok. Thank you, really appreciate that. What do they mean by that? They are telling us that even if they didn't tell us the requirement, they didn't tell us more details about the pilot, at least that day, which was January 30, 2025, they let us know the communities that will be participating in the program. They also informed us about the launch of the programs. And now they are stating that these 2 pilots, will provide 18 communities with a permanent residence pathway to attract and retain newcomers who can fill key jobs and who want to live long term in these areas. Again, back to what we have said before. We have said that they are going to be giving policies, bringing up solutions that would allow people not just to go there as a camouflage, but to go there and to live there permanently, even if they get their permanent residency, you understand, almost instantly after the what? After they relocate to those communities. Now they said the rural community immigration pilot ensures that rural communities have access to programs that addresses what? Labor shortages and help local businesses find the workers they need. Now they said the Francophone community immigration pilot focuses on increasing the number of French-speaking newcomers settling in Francophone minority what communities outside of Quebec. Now, what are they saying in essence? Quebec is a province in Canada that has its own separate what? Its own separate programs. They don't actually use or follow or abide with the normal Canadian programs. But now, for these Francophone minority community programs or pilot program, there's going to be a centralization. There's going to be a focus on picking immigrants that can thrive in what? In rural areas and that can speak French in those areas outside of what? The province of Quebec. And we know already some of these provinces that have French minorities. For instance, Ontario has French minority. You understand? French speaking communities. New Brunswick has French speaking community. There are various provinces, you understand, that have French speaking communities. Now they are informing us that this ensures the economic development of Francophone communities, minority communities, while also helping to restore and increase their what? Their demographic weight. We know for a fact that many people are coming through PFPs or through, you understand, some other programs. When they have gotten what they want in one province, they leave that province and actually go to the main provinces. You understand? The provinces that have the what they call it now, that have that urban, you understand, appeal. But now they want a situation whereby people come to rural areas and they stay back in those rural areas. And as I do always say jokingly, that some of the rural areas in Canada are far, far better than even the urban areas in some other locations. Do you understand? So note that. Now, they said each selected community is represented by a local economic development organization, which will work with IRCC, Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, to identify its critical labor gaps, designate trustworthy employers, and recommend suitable candidates to IRCC for what? For permanent residence. Now, that is exactly what is going to happen, that I feel is going to happen. Various communities are going to be selecting, do you understand, immigrants that they feel will be successful and they feel that will stay back in their communities permanently. So the power is going to rest on the communities to first of all select out of maybe those that are going to be in their pool of candidates. They will select those that they feel would thrive or succeed in their localities before they now send the list or send the names to the federal government for them to now issue them their visas. So basically what we are trying to say in essence is that your own duty as an immigrant, as someone that wants to come into Canada, is to focus on those communities you feel you stand a better chance of actually getting, you understand, selected. And how would you show, even though we have not been told the eligibility criteria, how would you? My own best advice or suggestion to you is to look into these communities that we are going to mention. What do they have in those communities that are their major sources of income, their major sources of livelihood, their major sources of what? of business entrepreneurship. And look at it. Oh, maybe in this particular community, the industry that they have there is related into agriculture, is related to agric. So what you are meant to be focusing on is that which skills do you have, which abilities do you have, which knowledge, which certifications, which work experience do you have to align with those rural communities and the businesses in those communities that should show that truly you are an agriculturist, truly you are someone that they need in that community. Truly you are someone that the community will be willing to kind of select and choose and, you understand, work with to actually come into the, you understand, community. Now look at this. They said IRCC has begun training the economic development organizations, and each community will provide details and timelines on when employers and prospective permanent resident candidates can expect to have a chance to apply. Now, this is very important. IRCC are not just leaving communities to just run this show themselves. They are trying to educate them, they are training them, and seeing how both the employers will be well informed of the kind of processes their permanent resident candidates must follow, and also the permanent resident candidates too would also be informed later on when they are expected to apply, when they are expected to get selected, and when the process is going to actually kick off. Now, let's now move on to the communities. They said the following communities which will participate in the Rural Community Immigration Pilot (RCIP) is one, Pictou County, Nova Scotia. NS stands for Nova Scotia for those that are on YouTube, but you are seeing those communities, but you don't know what they are. NS is what? Nova Scotia. Do you understand? Now, number two, North Bay, Ontario. Now, I told you Ontario is part of it. Sudbury, Ontario, 3. Number 4, Timmins, Ontario. Number 5, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Number 6, Thunder Bay, Ontario. Number 7, Stenbach, Manitoba. Number 8, Altona, Rhineland, Manitoba. Brandon, Manitoba. That's number 9. Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan rather. Cows, Alberta. Number 11. West Courtney, British Columbia. That's number 12. Number 13, North Okanagan, Shuswap, British Columbia. Number 14, Peace Liard, British Columbia. So 14 locations are going to be focused on when it comes to the Rural Community Pilot Program, Minority Community Pilot Program. But the following communities would participate in the Francophone Community Immigration Pilot, the FCIP, which is Acadian Peninsula, New Brunswick, Sudbury, Ontario, Timmins, Ontario, Superior East Region, Ontario, St. Pierre, Jolies, Manitoba, and Kelowna, British Columbia. That's 6 communities. Even though Sudbury and Timmins have been on the first ones that we took. So Sudbury and Timmins, I think those are the only 2 communities that are both in the Rural Community Immigration Pilot and the Francophone Community Immigration Pilot. So note that. Now let's look at some of the quotes about what Mark Miller, for instance, said in all what we discussed now. He said, and you must take note of, he said rural and francophone communities are vital to Canada's growth and cultural diversity, and we value the unique contributions that newcomers make in these places. So that's to tell you that they are willing to support communities that are in these areas to also get newcomers, to get their fair share of immigrants coming into Canada. Now, this is an opportunity for those of you who don't mind visiting, who don't mind living, who don't mind staying permanently in rural areas in Canada, you yourself stand a fair chance of being invited. Now, the question you may ask is that, oh, if I want to come into these countries or into this country through the rural communities or through the francophone communities, what do I need to do? We have not been given information yet about what, you understand, immigrants are expected to do. They have not been given full information. But one thing you can expect is that based on your work, just like they said, they want to fill labor market shortages. They want to help with demographic challenges. So, based on your work and based on your family structure, you stand a fair chance. Because they want to improve demographic challenges, they may be focusing on people that have families or people that are not just coming alone but coming with their spouses to also work. One. Two, they would be looking at certain occupations. It's not all occupations that will be eligible. Now, I've given you the list of those provinces or list of those communities. What you can do as an active Canadian or candidate rather towards Canada immigration is to look into those communities and start diving into the in-demand roles, in-demand jobs that those communities actually need, and start working on getting documentations that can actually favor your own selection when they get started. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Oh, okay. Someone is asking, that is H. H is asking, can I talk, please? Of course, you can talk. That is why we are here. You can talk, please. Talk as much as you want. But it's not only me that is meant to be talking in these live sessions. I don't know why people don't always talk. Though sometimes we have people that talk, but of course you can talk, please, please. We expect your talk. You can talk orally if you are joining us live, or you can also drop your you can drop your comments. Okay, I think oh, okay. It's TikTok that is talking. But you can talk, you can drop your comments if you want to actually put them down, or you can also drop it on the comment section and would, you understand, would expect to respond to it. And also, so it's not only even questions you can ask, you can also drop your comments, you can, you understand, put your own clarifications. We can read it out if you actually wrote it down through comment section. And if you want to talk orally, you can join as a guest. Do you understand? In order to actually put your own, you understand, your own 2 cents down. So moving on, before we, I'm still waiting for your talk, but before we get your talk, let's continue. We said, by welcoming skilled immigrants to these areas, IRCC are addressing what the labor shortages and economic needs while promoting the benefit of living in a smaller town or city. Now, note that they want to also be welcoming skilled immigrants to those rural areas with the aim of what? With the aim of promoting those places and helping, you understand, those localities with immigrants in smaller towns or cities. Now, they said IRCC's commitment is to support these regions and to reflect what their belief that each one matters. What is each one? Both the communities, the rural community matters, the francophone minority community matters, and even what the immigrants that are going to those, you understand, communities matter. Okay, we have is it a question now? Yes, we have a question from um Omogunwa. Yes, Omogunwa in on Instagram. The person is asking, how long does it take to get a IRCC visa? That's a very, very generic question. When it comes to visas, we have different visas, different types of visas, and as there are different types of visas, there are different timelines, different processing times, different, you understand, times that it takes for each visa to be approved based on even the location you are from. The location, like for instance, someone from Nigeria, they can get their own visa either faster or slower than someone that is from other countries. So it's a very generic question, but let me just give you some responses based on the different visas. If you are applying for visitor visa, for instance, from Nigeria, because from your name kind of predicts that you are from Nigeria, it can take 153 days as stated on the Canadian immigration website. And the last time they updated this was February 5th, 2025, because they always update it every week. The processing times, they update it every week. So visitor visas from outside Canada, specifically from people from Nigeria, it can take what? It can take 153 days. If we calculate 153 days in, do you understand? In weeks. Oh, say we should do it in, let's do it in weeks first. In weeks divided by 7, that is what? 21 weeks. When we now say, okay, we should divide this by 30, that is like 5 months. Do you understand? Visitor visa. Now, if you are asking about study permit from, of course, outside Canada, let's say from, because you seem to be from Nigeria. So if it is study permit, it will take 8 weeks. 8 weeks is roughly what? 8 weeks is roughly 2 months, right? It's roughly 2 months. Now, that's for study what? That's for study permit. If you are working on work permit, let's assume you are working on work permit from outside Canada as well, and from the country Nigeria, do you understand? Based on February 5, 2025 update, it will take 15 weeks. 15 weeks is roughly like 4 months, right? Roughly like 4 months. Good, yes. Now, if you are working on which one again? Okay, I've talked about visitor visa, study permit. If you are working on work, okay, I've talked about work. Work is the one I said 4 months. That's 15 weeks. If you are working on permanent residence, yes, permanent residence. Which one are we talking about now? If you are working on federal workers, federal skilled workers, that one will take what? 9 months as of now. 9 months for Quebec skilled workers. Quebec skilled workers. But if it is skilled workers for federal government, it will take 6 months through the express entry. So if you look at all those timings I've given you, the fastest being the study permit, taking just 8 weeks. That's 2 months. You understand? The slowest is the Quebec skilled worker program, which takes what? Which takes 9 months. So we have different visas, and different visas require different processing times. You understand? They are not the same when it comes to what? When it comes to their processing times. I hope I've been able to answer that question. You understand very well. If you have any other question, you can put it in the comment section. So thank you very much for asking that. Now, let's move on to what we have for today. We said that, as they said, IRCC said, they said that is why we would make the RNIP a permanent program, and why we are introducing these 2 new pilot programs. We will continue to work closely with these communities as we work to connect businesses with the skilled workers they need to thrive. So that is one of the quotes that was on the article that we read earlier, talking about the importance of actually bringing skilled workers into what? Into the rural areas, the rural communities, you understand, of Canada. So please note that is very, very important. The Honorable Mark Miller, Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, was the one that actually said that. He also said, when our rural and remote communities succeed, Canada succeeds. It's as simple as that. So they want the rural areas to also succeed by getting what? By getting skilled workers that would work in their jobs. Now, through the rural community immigration pilot and the francophone community immigration pilot, federal government is helping what? To fill jobs and to drive growth in our magical small communities, making life better for everyone who lives there. Now, they said the Honorable Judy Hutchins, Minister of Rural Economic Development and Minister responsible for the Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency, was the one that actually made that statement. So that's to tell you that It is not just something that one person desires. It's something that everyone in Canada desires, that people, you understand, come into Canada through the rural areas and, you understand, to thrive in the rural areas. Now, let's take some quick facts based on what IRCC stated on its website so that you know the importance of the introduction of these two pilot programs. Number one, they said on October 31st, 2023, IRCC released an immigration system for Canada's future, a report that lays out a pathway to strengthen our immigration system to better meet the needs of our country and of newcomers. We said as part of the work that to implement the actions identified in the report, IRCC continues exploring opportunities to enhance what regional immigration, including through these new pilot programs that they are introducing. Now, okay, we have another person. This is OJZ. OJZ Olamide, yes, OJZ Olamide from Instagram is asking, I'm sorry to ask, is it just visa you work on, or you help people to secure a job and they pay for their visa and every other document require payment? Well, I don't know if you are not informed already, but it's good that you asked a good question. Firstly, we don't help people with visas. You understand? Because I do always say it, we are not immigration lawyers. We are not regulated Canadian immigration consultants. Now, also, I do always say that we have partnered with an immigration lawyer, and even recently, I talked about not just immigration lawyer in Canada, we also have another immigration lawyer in the US that we have partnered with that actually does it on our behalf. They help people with their visas on our behalf. Do you understand? We are not licensed, we are not registered, we are not, we don't do anything visas. What we do is language related, what we do is career related. We help people, you understand, just like you said, to secure a job. If you want to secure a job, we don't help you look for jobs. You understand? That is not our role. We are not also licensed recruiters, you understand, in Canada, but we can educate you on how to actually look for jobs. We have some people that are currently taking our online course to learn how to actually secure jobs themselves. Do you understand? And of course, we can also link you to some of the business development consultants we have in Canada here that can assist you, you understand, whilst looking for jobs. But we have our own services. We talked about language as well. If you are preparing for maybe IELTS, CELP, PT exam, or you want to learn French and actually train for TEF Canada, TCF Canada, DELF, and those examinations, we can actually come in that and assist you to actually prepare for the exams, to take language related examinations, and to what, and to actually pass at once. Do you understand? Now, other documentations you require for visas, anyone that requires our own assistance, we can assist you with that. Do you understand? But of course, you pay for it. Anyone that requires payment, you are the candidate, you will pay for it. And if you want to actually get linked up to those that can assist you with the visas as well, we can also assist you with that. So you can actually go on our link on our website. We also have it on our profile page, aos.name.ng. Do you understand? And with that, you can visit our website and start up the process of us helping you through your immigration journey based on our own services, and to actually get linked up to other people that would help for other services. So thank you very much for that, OJZ Olamide. Really appreciate that. Now, moving on. Another quick fact that was also stated on this news release we were actually reading is that the inclusion of the new Francophone communities in regional economic immigration programs is a core measure of IRCC's policy on Francophone immigration. Now, part of the what of the Acadian Peninsula, Sudbury, Timmins, and Saint Pierre Julies are also participants in the Welcoming What Francophone Communities Initiative. Do you understand? Which will help them settle and integrate French-speaking newcomers who arrive in their communities under the under the FCIP. Now, what are they telling us in essence? They are telling us that some communities apart, some are also going to be involved as participants in welcoming francophones. So the faster you understand, for those who want to learn French, okay, this is where we come in for example like OJZ or Lamide asking. If you want to actually be part of those under the Francophone Community Initiative, some people are currently learning French with us, you understand, through our website, aosacademy.com right now. And you also can actually join them to learn French because let's let's be truthful to ourselves. French is one way that you can easily come into Canada. For many people that want to really come into Canada and don't have maybe time to actually be looking for jobs or be looking for family members in Canada or friends in Canada, French is another very valuable way for you to actually come into Canada and be respected when you come into Canada. I, for instance, as I do always say it every time I have the opportunity, I didn't use a friend in Canada to come into Canada. I didn't use a family member because I didn't even have them in Canada. I was the first person in my family, you understand, my nuclear family to come into Canada. Do you understand? I didn't get a job in Canada when I was coming to Canada to become a permanent resident. What I used was what? Was my experience in tech. What I used was my education. At that time, I just had a bachelor's degree alone to come into Canada. And what I used again was what? My language proficiency in both the English language and the French language. Those are the major things that we also assist people to do because, of course, it is what I did for myself. So that is what we assist people to actually do because we know that that is a valuable way for you to come into Canada. That is what exactly I did. So if you want to also come into Canada through the Francophone Community Pilot Program, you stand a fair chance now. Start learning French right now. If you already know French, master the French, prepare for the language examination, and go take it because that is going to be your proof, your documentation to show that you can really communicate and actually speak the French language. Now, preliminary findings suggest strong retention of in RNIP communities. In October 2022, 87% of RNIP newcomer survey respondents stated that they stayed and plan to stay in their what RNIP communities. What are they telling us? They are telling us that the RNIP, the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot Program, was successful in retaining people, and they want to follow the concept of the RNIP for these new what pilot programs. So you too start looking into the RNIP, see what the RNIP did, see what made the RNIP successful, the program successful, and start working on being eligible for the RNIP so that when that of the community based eligibility comes out, you are not going to be caught off guard. You could have known out for time that yes, this is what is actually prevalent in the RNIP, and this is how you can actually get selected through it. Now, as of December 31st, 2024, 8,580 newcomers have been granted permanent residence through the RNIP, helping addressing labor shortages in key sectors such as healthcare and manufacturing. Now, note that again. I want you to note all these things. That's why we're actually talking about them. Okay, OJZ Olamide, thank you so much for the explanation. Okay, thank you. You are also welcome. Thank you for actually joining. Really appreciate it. Now, look at the RNIP. They said the shortages that they were experiencing were majorly, you understand, the major ones in key sectors were in the healthcare and the manufacturing. In fact, let me even leave manufacturing out of it. Let me talk about healthcare. My people, if you want to come into Canada now and you don't have French skill, but you want to come into Canada, healthcare may be your way to enter Canada. I'm telling you freely now, freely. Let me drink my tea first before I talk about that in detail. My people, healthcare can be your lead way to enter Canada right now than anytime again. Why? When I was coming into Canada, what was prevalent was tech, IT. And see, let me tell you a short story so that you understand what I'm trying to explain and educate you about. When I wanted to come into Canada, as the normal immigrant now, I say, okay, yes, now what do I have? what I had or what I was doing currently as at that time was language teaching. I was teaching languages, and many people still know that's what I'm still doing right now, teaching French and stuff. I was teaching languages. So when I applied, when I created my first express entry, when I was later allowed to create, even though the first time that I started creating the express entry profile, I didn't qualify. But after I went to go and rewrite my, you understand, language test and everything, I now actually put in I put in for a profile. The first profile I ever created under the express entry was under what? Language teaching. I can still remember that code. The NOC code I used was, is it 4210 or something? Something around that line, sha. My people, I waited for like almost a year. They were picking other people, they did not pick me. Other people were being selected. Not only the express entry, in provincial nominee programs to PMPs, they did not select me. Why? Because I was just looking at what I had. I was just looking at what I was doing. Do you understand? That yes, if anybody asks me, oh, I'm a language teacher. If anybody asks, you understand? That was the only thing I was doing. So I put language instructor. You understand? For those people that I knew very well that yes, I didn't have certificates to show that yes, I was in the education sector. So I did not say like I was a secondary school teacher, because that one you need a license to actually study to teach as a teacher. You understand? Or to say you're a lecturer, you need a license for it. You understand? Whether be it NC or whether be it PGD, you understand? Or even bachelor's or master's degree in education. But I didn't have that. All I had was what? Bachelor's in linguistics. So I knew that based on my education, I can teach language. Do you understand? So I said, oh, I was a language instructor. For many of you that know the NOC code. NOC code. Let me even check it now. NOC code for language what? Language instructor. That time, if you are under language instructor, like you are teaching language, just like how me I was doing. Language instructor NOC code in Canada that time. Even till now, I know it's still going to be the same. It's not that something that it doesn't always change. It was 431. Let me look at it now. Let me be sure. I want to be sure of it new. Because that NOC code, that was what I used as at last, as at when was that? As at 2020. Is it 2021? That's what I used. They did not pick me. It was not fight you, but they did not pick me. I was just there doing nothing. Do you understand? Because I didn't understand that it's not only about what you feel you, but you have to look at what that what they call it now, what that province or what, okay, college and other vocational instructors. That is 4121. That was what I used that time. 4121. That was I said college and vocational instructor, because that was under it. That is where they say, okay, yes, so you can work as what? You can work as a language instructor or a language teacher. Do you understand? Language school instructor. 4121. But they did not pick me for close to a year until I now had to look at, okay, now what exactly do I have again that yes, it's not that I was focusing so much on, but I can use to actually work on my own immigration, so that I don't just be in the profile, in the pool, in the express entry pool and not get selected. What I now had to do was to now look deep that, oh, yes, I'm a language instructor, no doubt. And just like many Nigerians, we have a lot of talent. You understand? We can do 2, 3 jobs. Even though, yes, one may be the major one, but you may still have other experiences that you yourself, it not even count as experience. There was one of our clients that I was talking with, and he was saying, yes, he runs a business and you understand he's into business management and stuff like that. And I say, okay, think deep. What else can you do? What else are you still doing to make money? What else are they paying you for that you can use for your immigration business? Many people are into business, but what exactly? When we dig deep, that is when he was telling me, yes, he's into agric. As you see, you are into agric as what? He says an agricultural supervisor because he also supervises a farm. I say good. That is one of the things that Canada is actually looking for. Business, anybody can do business, so they no focus on that one. Just like me, to anybody, language. Oh, they are a lot of language teachers. So they not pick me because I said that I was into language. So I had to look. I said, okay, yes, I was into tech too before. Even till now, I'm still into tech. It's not even before, it's not a before thing. My master's degree itself that I'm doing is another data science in tech. You understand? And I've also helped people build websites. I've built websites for myself. I have proofs of money that I've collected from building websites. I have all those things. So I have to now change my NOC code. So similarly, for those of you that may be in the healthcare or are not still in the healthcare, but you can go into the healthcare because it was successful in RNIP, I will not be surprised if in these new 2 pilot programs, Canada adds healthcare as one of the key sectors that would what? That will be added and will be used to actually select skilled immigrants coming to Canada. So please, H, thank you very much. I see you liking our live session on TikTok. We're also on Instagram and YouTube as well. So thank you everyone for joining. But please don't waste time. Start looking at those programs. I've given you two cues now. RNIP. Look into RNIP. What made RNIP successful? Let's just even look at RNIP together. For those that are on YouTube, let's look at RNIP together. The Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot Program. I'm on their website now. They are telling us who can apply, even though they are no longer accepting new applications. Now, note that the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot, it ended in August 31st, 2024. Do you understand? So they are no longer accepting new applications. But look at this. They said, have you already applied for community recommendation? You say no. If you haven't applied for community recommendation, they said to be eligible for the RNIP as at before, even though it has closed, they said you need to have qualifying work experience or have graduated from a publicly funded post-secondary institution in the recommending community. So either you have had experience working in that community or you have graduated from that what? From a university, a college, or a polytechnic in that community. Many people may not have that, especially when they are not yet in Canada already. So you may not really focus on that. But they said you have to meet or exceed language requirements. What are the language requirements? We'll talk about it. You have to meet and exceed educational requirements. What are they? We'll talk about it. Proof that you have enough funds to support your transition into the community. We'll talk about that. Intend to live in the community, meet community specific requirements, and have temporary residency status if you are in Canada when you apply. As I said, many people may not be in Canada already. So that may be one thing that the new pilot programs may not focus so much on, because they know that many people that want to apply may still be outside Canada. But what are the language requirements? You must have that one. Language requirement, they say have at least CLB what? CLB 6 if you're under tier 0 or tier 1. You understand? So either if you're a manager or you are what? You are a professional. Tier 2 and 3. Yes, if you are still a professional, but you don't need a university degree, rather you need a college certificate. You understand? CLB 5 or NCLC 5. And that, see, this is the reason why I'm telling people, start learning French if you want to stand a fair chance. For Francophone Community Pilot Program, the benchmark for express entry was for you to have CLB 7. For many people, they will not even pick them if they don't have CLB 8 upwards. But for these community pilot programs, you may be just needing CLB 4, NCLC 5. Do you understand? To actually qualify. So if you don't learn French and have something that is different from the other people, you see, many people will have English, IELTS, also law. But you need something else that you need to have that will differentiate you and define you and distinguish you from other people that have every other thing that you have. So even learning French within 3 months, 6 months, just little French to go and what? To go and use for immigration can stand you apart, can stand you differently from what other people don't have. And of course, they said for you to use any of this, whether be it IELTS, I don't tell people, some people will tell me, is IELTS compulsory for immigration? I tell them no. No. If you don't have IELTS, you can have CELPIP. If you don't have CELPIP, you can have PTE core. You don't need IELTS alone. You can use any of the other results. For French exam, TEF is not the only exam. TCF is also there. If you are focused on Quebec, DELF or DAF is also there. Now, but for any of these examinations, you must submit your results from a designated language test. Do you understand? Whether be it any of those 5 tests or 6 tests, IELTS, CELPIP, PTE for English, the 3 tests. TEF Canada, TCF Canada, DELF, DAF for what? For the Quebec or for the French. Now, they said these results must be less than 2 years old when you apply. So, of course, you need to have a result that has not yet expired. Do you understand? It mustn't have expired before you actually use it. Now, what's the educational requirement? Educational requirement requires that you either have a Canadian educational credential, that means you studied in Canada, whether on the secondary school level or on the post-secondary school level, whether diploma or degree, do you understand, certificate, or you have the what? The educational credential assessment, ECA report from a designated organization like WES, ICAS, ISS, and the rest. Do you understand? Which is less than 5 years old on the date you apply, and it should show that you completed what? A foreign credential which is equal to a Canadian secondary school certificate or secondary school diploma, or a post-secondary school certificate, diploma, or degree from a university, college, or the polytechnic. And of course, they say you need to have the settlement funds, just like the settlement funds for express entry. You need to intend to live in that community, to intend to stay. You understand? Live permanently in the what? In the community, and each community has its own additional requirements for applicants. As at then, the communities that they were using for RNIP was North Bay, Ontario, Sudbury, Ontario, Timmins, Ontario, South St. Marion. If you look at this, many of these communities that were on RNIP, you see that many of them are also on the new 2 pilot programs, the Rural Community Pilot Program and the French Francophone Community Pilot Program. Note that. So Thunder Bay, Ontario, Brandon, Ontario, Altoona or Greenland, Manitoba, Brandon, Manitoba, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, Carlsbad, Alberta, Vernon, British Columbia was not in the I didn't see that. I didn't see it now. But West Kootenay, Trail, Castlegar, Roseland, and Nelson, British Columbia. I think West Kootenay was there. So basically, that's all what you need to note when it comes to what the RNIP, as it is linked to what the new pilot or the new 2 pilot programs. Please, if you have any questions right now, ask your questions before we call it a day. I hope you have been able to understand all what we have actually talked about from the beginning to the end. If there's any part of the conversation you don't understand, do you understand? Try to ask your questions right now. And of course, if you want to actually get started with the language requirements or with the language courses that we talked about, do you understand? For our language courses, you can go on our website, aosacademy.com. I'm also sharing that on the what? I'm sharing that on the um I'm sharing that on the comment section right now. So you can go to our website to actually get started with the language courses. And if you have any questions later on, do you understand? Even after this live session, you can always drop it, and we'll do justice to responding to it as soon as we get them. So thank you everyone for joining. Really appreciate you joining, and I hope you have learned 1 or 2 things from our conversation today. If you also, as I said, if you want to learn any other thing later on, or you have any questions later on, put it on the comment section. Even after this, once we see it, we would also respond to it, and we'll try to actually. And if for some people would always say, oh, they would like to have a live session with us. They would rather they would like to have a what they call this thing now, a consultation with us. Do you understand? You can also have the consultation through the link that I would also share right now. So would like to actually hear from you. Do you understand? And anybody that wants to actually talk with us, you can talk with us through that link, either aos.name.ng or aosacademy.com. Any which one you go to, you could also see more. You understand information, more details about us and our services. So thank you very much, everyone. Really appreciate you joining us today. Without wasting much of your time, do have a nice day ahead. Bye for now, everyone. Au revoir. Bye bye.